They uh, try to do these all the things on the Linux machine. They try to install one Tomcat. Okay, so Tomcat is used for to deploy the Java-based applications, and even some of the companies used to work with JBoss also. So the Tomcat or JBoss, then LAMP. So what is the meaning of LAMP? Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. All these as a package we have is the LAMP. Then install RabbitMQ. The RabbitMQ is for message queuing. Then anyhow in the MySQL LAMP we have MySQL, but try to install MySQL, Postgre. So whoever done the installations, like try to Google or ChatGPT, and all those steps which are successful, share to the group. And everyone also need to install because administration also is part of our job. So administration also is part of our job. So MySQL, Postgre, then maybe MongoDB. So MongoDB also a lot of people are using. So that is Mern stack. People will call as Mern stack. LAMP stack is a old one. Okay, so Mern stack. In that M is either MySQL or MongoDB. Express JS, React JS, then Node JS. So these all as a package we have as Mern stack. Okay, so MongoDB is also is a lot of companies are asking to install MongoDB, those kind of roles. Then maybe Redis also we need to install. Redis also try to install. Then some DevOps tools also we should able to install, like Jenkins, Nexus, SonarQube, JFrog. Then how to install Docker, Ansible. Said today, tomorrow, spend more time on the installation part itself. Okay, said Docker, Kubernetes also. The how to set up the Kubernetes also we need to know. So these all part of our administration job. So we need to install even the Kubernetes also need to install. We need to install on AWS instances, like either Red Hat is fine or Ubuntu, or optionally choose Amazon Linux. But instead of Amazon Linux, I prefer Red Hat or Ubuntu are the popular distributions in the real time we are going to use. Okay, so try to install all those on Red Hat or Ubuntu, or both also is fine because some companies may have Red Hat, some companies may have Ubuntu. Some companies may have Red Hat or some will have the Ubuntu also. Okay, so these all like we need to install. Instead of installing, we have one more method. Containerization. Okay. So we can use the containers also in order to deploy our applications. But the the old method is the old method is take a virtual mission. What is the meaning of virtual mission in AWS? EC2 instance. On top of that, install the package. But if you go for containers, the hence today, which is getting more popular, containers are getting more popular day by day. So previously we have the VMs, the virtual missions or physical missions we used to take. On top of that, we used to install all those packages. But day by day, so which is getting more popular, which is getting more popular day by day.
Containers.
Containers are getting more popular. Okay. So as the containers are getting more popular, we have a lot of tools like Docker is there, Podman, Runc, CRID. So these all the different container kind of tools are getting popular. On top of that, the container orchestration tools we have like Kubernetes. We have the Kubernetes, Docker Swarm. So Docker is a container tool, but Docker Swarm is a containerization orchestration tool. Apache, Mesos, OpenShift. Then we have PCF, Pivotal Cloud Foundry. Pivotal Cloud Foundry. So these are all the tools we have. Okay, so these are all the cloud orchestration kind of tools we have in the market. Okay, so in this, we are going to learn Kubernetes and Docker. So these are the popular, but if you understand, Docker itself is not one of the containerization tool. There are a lot of containerization tools. Okay, so before going for containers, okay, so today, tomorrow, try to install all the packages. We already installed Engine, Apache, those kind of things. So anyhow, Jenkins, Net, JFrog, so those all in the DevOps we need to manage. Then for database, we'll have MySQL, Postgres, Redis, MongoDB. So these kind of databases we need to install. Then JBoss to deploy the Java-based applications we will have. Okay. LAMP is for the deployment of PHP-based applications. Previously, most applications are on LAMP stack itself. If you install all these applications on your instance, then you will understand. So then you can understand. So what are the challenges we have with the normal installation and why we need to go for containers kind of thing. So why we need to go for containers. Okay. So here the first scenario what we need to understand is the previously we used to deploy Okay, very long back physical servers, but today, as of now, like everyone are using virtual machines itself. Virtualization versus containerization. So virtualization means, so we are taking a virtual machine either on the on-premises or private cloud or public cloud. So we are using public cloud, EC2 instance or Azure virtual machines. So these are the virtualization missions. On top of that, we are going to deploy our applications. But one of the challenges with the virtualization is we require a lot of server resources to run those virtual missions. But one of the advantage of the containers is containers are very lightweight. Okay, containers are very lightweight. If those are lightweighted, then it takes very less time to start those containers. In order to start those containers, it takes very short span of time to run those. Okay, so that is the main advantage to go for containers. So can you tell me what is the advantage of containers is virtual machines will consume lot of server resources, whereas containers are very lightweight. And in order to start the containers also within seconds itself we can start. In order to run the virtual machines, we required more time and application also will take more time to start. Okay. And multiple versions of the environments also. Say in the same mission, you may not install IE Internet Explorer. Maybe we have 7, 8, 9, or maybe Tomcat 7, 8, 9. So what happens if I have a Tomcat 7 and if you install Tomcat 8, what happens? Tomcat 7 would be upgraded to Tomcat 8. Okay. If you upgrade from Tomcat 8 to Tomcat 9, that means at any point of time, you are going to maintain only one version itself. But if we use the containers, we can maintain the multiple versions of the code. So we can maintain the multiple versions of the, so we can run Tomcat 7, Tomcat 8, Tomcat 9. Like this, we can maintain the multiple versions of the code by using the containers. In the same mission, we can run the multiple versions of the applications or multiple environments also can be maintained by the containers. But that is not possible with
Virtualization.
virtualization. So these all that we have lot of advantages to move to containers. So that is the reason for the continuous deployment or deploying your applications day by day. Containers are getting more popular. So containers are getting more popular. Okay, so today still I'll tell focus on these installations. Okay, already have you done any of those installations? So if you install all these, then only you will understand the advantage of Docker, because in Docker these are very simple to deploy. But before using the Docker, we used to install all these manually. Everyone need to install minimum 3 to 4 packages in this list. Okay, so then what is the advantage of virtual machine is, sorry, what is the main advantage of containers are lightweight. Say that is the reason today I'm telling you install the applications because with the containers it's very easy to use, easy to run. It utilizes very less resources compared to the virtual machines. It consumes very less resources. Multiple versions, multiple environments, we can manage multiple environments or multiple versions also we can manage. So this is also one of the advantage of using containerization. Okay, so with this we are getting a lot of advantages, but there are some disadvantages also we have with the containers. But at the early stage we have those issues. Today for most of the problems we have the solutions. So there are some disadvantages. Okay, so what are those disadvantages of okay, so which will take more resources?
Virtualization.
Virtualization will take which is secure?
Containers.
No, virtualization is little secure compared to containers. Say, I'll tell one scenario in your mobile. We install maybe like unknown package. Is your mobile is in risk or not?
Yes, sir. It is.
Yeah. Say your other applications also may be affected with that or not.
It can be.
Yeah, that same kind of risk is there even with the containers. Say before using the containers, the trust of the container we should check very well and take from the known sources itself, because it's recommended to install the applications from App Store or not.
Yes, sir.
So directly from the APKs or other installers, you shouldn't install because those are not from the trusted sources. In the same way, Docker also we are going to get it from the trusted sources. Okay, so maybe we'll discuss some disadvantages. So what are the disadvantages of the containers is less security we use. Not all with the all the images. Only there may be some unknown images or we don't know the provider. So those images are risky to use. Okay, and your other applications, other containers or OS may affect. By default, if container is not running. Okay, so what is that meaning is I run one container for 6 months, but if the container is stopped or not running, I lost all my data. Okay, so for this we have the solutions is there called as volumes. Okay, so the problem is by default the data inside the container is not, by default the data inside the container is not
Running. Stored.
persistent. You want the persistency, then what we need to do?
Volumes.
Yeah, volumes need to be attached. So then solution is there. So when the containers came, initially they supported only Linux. Okay. So only command line applications, maybe gaming kind of applications where it required more graphical applications are not supported. It's not like that. It's a supporting. Okay. So containers, all these are supporting. They will have some hundreds or thousands of applications need to be running. Okay, for that purpose, we need to manage multiple applications also. So we need to go for Okay. Say in order to administrate some thousands of containers instead of managing manually, say it's a little tough, but what is the solution we have for that?
Container orchestration.
Orchestration tools like Kubernetes, all those we have. I hope I understand, right? Why we need to go for Kubernetes, all these is multiple containers creation, provisioning, these all we have the challenges. The solution for that is
Kubernetes.
container orchestration kind of tools. Okay. So another challenge is the one more layer has been added to the OS. So normally one application we are installing, but now OS on top of that containers, on top of that multiple containers would be running. That we need to understand that layer. Say that means normally we'll have two layers, but here we have three layers. That's initially for 1 week you will have the challenge, but once you understand expertise, so we can understand Docker, Kubernetes in a better way. Initially we'll have some understanding issues would be there. That's we need to overcome by learning the Docker and the Kubernetes. By learning the Docker and Kubernetes, we need to overcome this. Okay. So this all I'll explain more in Monday class. So I'm giving a brief idea, but today spend more time on these installations itself. After installing itself at least 3 to 4 packages, we can understand the advantage of Docker, all those. Otherwise, we don't understand and we don't practice those also. Okay, so then here we have image and container. So normally in AWS, we'll have the AMI, right? From AMI, we are launching an instance. So AMI is a file kind of thing which is having the OS, all those. So here in the Docker, we will have a Docker image. Docker image is the file having all the configuration settings, all those. We will spin up or launch the instances through Docker, then those are called as containers. Multiple containers can be created from an image. So just like one AMI, we can create some thousands of containers. Okay. So we have registry for all Docker images called as Docker Hub. Just like a repository, we have all the images. AMI we have in the AWS itself, we have in the marketplace or community images. So here we have a registry of all the Docker images we can keep. That is the Docker Hub. Our own images also we can keep. In AWS, we have registry called as ECR. Okay, so what is the meaning of ECR is? So what is the Docker Hub is? Docker Hub is managed by Docker. ECR is managed by
AWS.
AWS. But in Docker Hub, very big repository, lot of public AMIs, public images also we have. we are going to pull those images and we are going to run as containers. If you want to keep in AWS, you can keep in your ECR, we can keep those. ECR stands for Elastic Container Registry. Can you tell me what is ACR?
Registry container for
Azure Container Registry. Like this, Google having Google, IBM having IBM, everyone having their own
registry.
everyone, they have their own registries, and even we can create our own say I don't want to go for a cloud-based kind of registries, then we can use DTR, Docker Trusted Registry. Can you tell me the difference between Docker Hub and Docker DTR? So Docker Hub is a cloud-based registry, but some of the companies may don't want to keep those images in the Docker Hub. Okay, so then those companies can use
DTR.
DTR. DTR stands for
Docker Trusted Registry.
a second advantage of DTR is it no need to download some hundreds of images by the hundreds of resources over internet, over locally itself we can access. Okay, so that is also one of the advantage of
DTR.
DTR. But most of the people are using AWS or Docker Hub managed, and everyone create one account in Docker Hub also. Anyhow, we have AWS account, right? ECR we can use, but try to create one account in Docker Hub. So create an account in Docker Hub. So with this, we can create so if you create a public repo, anyone can use those images. If it is private repo, we require authorization to pull. Okay. So if it is a private repo, public images are what is advantages, anyone can use it. If it is a private images, we need the login permissions to download those. So we can use both public and private repos. So everyone create the repo also. Amazon Linux. Ubuntu, even on Windows also we can install, but Windows containers are not that much popular. Linux containers itself is getting popular. But it doesn't mean it won't support. It supports both. It supports both Windows, Linux, and Mac. All the three are supported. All the three are supported through this. Okay, so then internally Linux is using namespaces for resource allocation to containers. So using the namespace of Linux, like if you create a one container, so assume we have a one big hall. We are dividing that into different rooms. Okay, so then one room is within that region itself. That means we are separating like the resources. Okay, so one bare shell we have that we are dividing into like different rooms. Like this, Linux is allocating the resources to the containers. So whatever the resource have been allocated to the containers, others can't use. And we can't share that also by default. Like this, using the Linux namespaces, containers are getting more popular day by day. Internally, it is using the Linux namespace and C group kind of concepts. Okay, say internally Linux is using C groups and those to manage the like resource allocation. Process is going to manage. By default, kernel will take care, but on top of Docker, Docker will allocate those resources, all those. Virtualization is little different, and containers also is on top of the OS level also we are doing. Say virtualization we are doing at the kernel level, and we require very high high images in order to run the virtual machines, whereas containers will consume very less resources. So once you install the Docker, type to run the command docker info. Just type the Docker, type all the commands on your mission. The Docker search MySQL will search the what are the images we have. Normally, when you search Amazon Linux or Ubuntu, we can get a lot of images, right? So like this, we are going to search the images. The Docker pull MySQL. Say if you do Docker pull, can you tell me what's going to happen? The Docker is going to contact the Docker hub and downloading that image. It is downloading that image. So locally we are getting that image. So locally we are getting that image through Docker pull. Then Docker run. This is the name of the container. We are allocating one port number. So this will run the container, and Docker images will show what are the images we have. We pull the MySQL image, right? That will show. Docker PS will show the like what are the running containers we have. Just like if you run the containers, we can see the list of containers or sorry, virtual machines are running or instances are running. The Docker PS will show which of the containers are running. Okay, so before running all these commands and before running the like a Docker run like MySQL like this is the simplest way to install. But first install manually. First install, and those who have done the installation share the steps. Share the steps to others also. Okay, so just go through still that virtualization versus containers, advantages and disadvantages of virtualization and advantages and disadvantages of containers. Okay, then we need to go for image and container. The running state of image itself is called as container. For the container to run, we require the resources. Your host mission is going to allocate the resources. Okay, so then go through Docker architecture also. Just go through the Docker architecture also. We have three components. One is Docker client, the Docker CLI we have, Docker daemon, or maybe like a Docker engine would be running. Then all the images have been stored in Docker Hub. When we pull the images, like from the Docker Hub to, it's going to download to Docker daemon. From there, it's going to run those images by using the Docker run command. Okay. So today, tomorrow, spend more time on installing the packages. Let's get some errors. But before going for Docker, we required all those have been installed some thousands of times. We wasted a lot of time with that. So then we move to containers kind of thing. In order to get that expertise, try to install the different packages. Okay, with the Docker, those are very easy, but without having the manual installation kind of experience, there is no use. We can't troubleshoot, or where is the problem, we can't identify. Hence, try to install manually. Then with the containers, those are very easy to run those. Okay. Yeah. Any doubts?